So, Nairobi.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
So when Dan was 7 years old, we moved to Nairobi, Kenya, and it was like an explosion of color and light and atmosphere that created a new sense of energy in all of us. I became a journalist and started writing books, and Dan trailed along behind me, telling stories in the way that he could through his photography and journaling.
And he carried his camera with him everywhere he went. I remember in French class would take pictures. There was one point in class where we were pronouncing it wrong. Whatever the phrase was, it doesn't matter. And the French teacher was so passionate about the correct pronunciation of French that he hit the floor on all fours and was beating the floor with his fist. No, that's not it. And Dan stood up and took several pictures of that, which he was like, stop that. But that was just Dan. That was just, he had his humorous way about him. Even in signing my yearbook, he signed my yearbook. He said, I hope you have a good life, and don't forget to dance every full moon and shave your head so that you'll be a good Buddhist and something of that type of nature. Just Dan's normal humor. That was just every part of his life. He laughed. He had such a good time no matter where he's at. I mean, truly, he lived out the idea that now is the time to live. That was Dan.
He also, in one class, it was really boring, and I don't know whether it was in high school or college.
I doubt it was French class. That was a very exciting class.
But he said, you're wasting my youth. and please, you're wasting my youth. And I thought, that's really wonderful. I mean, it was probably not very polite for the teacher, but I thought it was actually quite funny. And probably true.
Probably so.
Exactly.
But he would also be very direct, and he was not afraid to tell you how he felt either.
Yeah.
He did it with humor, but still.
Yeah, he wasn't cruel. It was just
it was. Yes.
But he, I think the wonderful thing about Dan is that he really saw the best in everybody, and he brought people together of all races and nationalities, and I think people, maybe when he was a little bit older, they just felt like they could do more, be more, feel more, go more places.
But he did. I mean, when he raised money for the Maasai lady for his heart transplant, he raised money for that. He went out and he worked. He had parties in your backyard, and he would charge admission to those parties. And he didn't pocket any of that money for himself. He took every dime of it. Every shilling went to the girl for her heart transplant. And he would travel out there before his Range Rover. He would travel out, hitchhike outside of Nairobi to a Maasai village. He would pick up jewelry. He would get and see them, help them any way he could. He'd bring the jewelry back into town, and he would sell it either in school or he would sell it to other people. And in doing so, he would take the money back out there so they could have money to live on, so they would have money to buy the essentials that they needed. That was just Dan. He didn't think of anything at all as far as desiring to benefit himself or to come up with some way to promote himself or whatever. He did it because it was the right thing to do, and he wanted to.
It's so interesting, the transformative nature, like seeing him from London to here to New York and then back in Somalia is just incredible. And I don't know, I guess there's just something about Kenya and Africa that really just transforms you as a person. And
I don't think it's limited to that. I think it's probably having role models and examples. And he was privileged because I was telling stories about all these people to really watch these people in action. And now as a result of people have had a chance to, hear his story, and he's an ordinary kid. So you think, okay, well, I could probably do some of this stuff too. So it's not even regionally based. It's for him that was the excitement and inspiration. But for kids wherever you are, it's like seeing somebody else.
Exactly. He's become a celebrity because of what he did and because of the work that Kathy and Amy have done in regards to bringing what Dan was in Dan's head and he put in his journals out into everybody else's life. Dan was just like everybody else. He wasn't a celebrity. He wasn't anybody that was famous or, you could walk past him at school and not know who he was.
Right.
I knew who he was because he's my friend. I mean, he wasn't somebody that stood out as a jock in school or somebody running for office or whatever. He did wind up, wasn't the valedictorian of his senior class?
Not valedictorian, but he was the person the students voted in, the person who was the person they wanted to give the school speech.
Normally that goes to the valedictorian, but Dan got elected to do that in his school just because of who he was, because of his personality, because of his outgoingness. That was just who he was. He became well known. I hate to use the word great because he wouldn't like that. He would not want that word used of him. He wasn't somebody who wanted to be great. He was just somebody who wanted to live and wanted to live well all the time. That was who Dan was.
Yeah.
And the thing that I'm proud of is that he wanted to live well, but also to do good. you know. So it was a sense of giving back or embracing those who had less or who needed something. And I think that's what I'm most proud of, is that it wasn't just a selfish, certainly he had a ball, but it was about, in many cases, embracing others and helping others.
I'm just glad I can call him my friend.
Well, I'm so glad for you guys to be here. It's been such an inspiring just opportunity, and it's great to hear from you guys and just learn more about Dan, and it's awesome. So.